I think I told him that I couldn't figure him out. That's why I left. I think that's what I said. But in other words, I was trying to say that he was just too. Do you think?
But this is reality review where I review reality TV and sometimes trending news. But today I'm talking about Big Brother Ninja the reunion. I think this is episode 6, yes, the second week, and I mean it's quite interesting, and we have quite a bit to talk about. But if you have not yet liked, no, I think it's a little like, but please subscribe at least, and then at the end, if you like, then you like. Now let's get straight to it because I don't want to waste your time. Time is money. First and foremost, the episode started with us seeing a clip from before with Brian and Khalid. Yeah, his name is Khalid. Brian and Khalid talking about Hermes' accent because he looks hood, but he speaks Porsche. So I think Brian was a bit confused, and because Khalid was Hermes' roommate, I think Brian asked Khalid like, "How far this your roommate? This is his accent, but he looks like this." And I was like, "Oh, Benny, I cannot lie to you. He's from the street," and even mentioned what part of the street he was from. I can't remember. So it was quite funny, but it wasn't anything deep. And Hermes just shines the light on the fact that it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're determined and you want to present yourself in a certain way in society, you can. He said, of course, he grew up in the streets, in the ghetto and the rest, but he loved how people paid attention when somebody spoke well and when people came across with very good English and, just had that great command of the English language. He loved it and he wanted to achieve it. So he did the work. He listened to podcasts, radio stations, and all of that. He said, so it's a thing of pride, and I agree with him. And I think it's very inspiring. It doesn't matter where you're from. All that matters is who you want to be. And Hermes is an example of that. So it was just a very short, big, funny, fun segment. And then we move to a bit more serious part. Now, this is now the Adekunle session. And there's a recurring theme with this season, and I might be wrong, but I feel like once 2 or 3 people don't like a person, it's like everybody doesn't like them. And I saw that with Chichi, and now I'm seeing this with Adekunle. It's like once 2 or 3 people have said you're a bad person, every other person will just say, we don't. I don't want. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how it's coming off to me. And I personally, I know that yes, Adekunle is brilliant and smart. Everybody can attest to that. And sometimes intelligent people can be manipulative. I get it. But I feel like there's nobody in the house that is perfect because they're coming at Adekunle for talking about people. But tell me, who in the house did not talk about another person? Let's give it a bug. I'm sure Doyin has spoken about other people. Funny enough, I actually like Doyin in the house. I think Doyin carried herself very well. And I think it's because Doyin carried herself well. That is why people felt comfortable coming to her with questions, and that was how she got the therapist. She carried herself very well. She's somebody that I really liked in the house because she was just good. She respected herself. She tried not to be too much drama. She was self-respecting. Even when Beauty was disqualified, she didn't throw her under the bus. So Doyin really showed up well. I won't even lie. Doyin really, really showed up well. So I didn't have a beef. But I'm saying even Doyin, I'm sure at some point would have talked about another housemate with another housemate. So for all of them to be coming at Adekunle like, oh, he's a gossip, excuse me, who did not talk about somebody else in the house? I'm sorry. Everybody did. So I don't just understand this holier than thou character. I just wanted to put that out there because I didn't like the way everybody was coming out at Adekunle for something that everybody did. But I'll be more specific as to the issue. They showed a clip of where Adekunle was talking to Alison and was like, Doyin is your friend, but I feel like she gives you bad advice and blah, blah, blah. And in that clip, Alison said, really, you're not the first person to tell me this, really. And she was saying it not in like trying to defend Doyin or anything, but in saying, okay, you're not the first person telling me this. So like, I'm listening to you. Not really like accepting it, but also not outright cutting it off. You get my point? So, and I love that they showed that clip, and Ebuka even highlighted it saying, we had to show that clip to show that it wasn't one-sided. So it wasn't as if Adekunle was talking to himself. This was something where he was talking to you and you guys were having a conversation and you were being agreeable in that conversation. So for him to now become the villain is ridiculous to me. Doyin has every right to be angry because she felt like Adekunle could have come to her. So Doyin had every right to be angry. Alison, on the other hand, I don't know where her venom is coming from because she was a part of that conversation and it wasn't as if she was disagreeing in that moment. I'm just saying, now to Doyin's anger, I get it. And this is coming from somebody who I feel like I have the tendency to spark and to be very passionate and sometimes too passionate. And sometimes when you're angry and you're too passionate, you might go overboard. I really felt uncomfortable with the insults that Doyin lashed out at Adekunle. I'm so uncomfortable. And then the thing is, I like Doyin. Doyin is smart, Doyin is articulate. But there's very little difference between the kind of verbal attacks Tina had for Chichi a few episodes ago versus the verbal attacks that Doyin launched at Adekunle. Just because she's speaking it in good English doesn't mean it's still not insult. Come on. Fine, he said that, oh, maybe she's giving you bad advice, maybe she's not your friend. Oh, maybe she's not your friend. But for you to come and say he's a sorry excuse of a man.
And I really it's very acceptable.
Wow.
Is it just one situation that made you feel that?
That's too much. I won't even lie.
Being a genuinely malicious, vicious person to somebody that, if you had a problem with me, walk up to me and say, Doyin, this. Do you understand? Give me the chance to explain myself.
For you to say things like his mother should be ashamed. Come on, I get that you are pissed, but come on now. Those statements can really hurt a person's soul. And then Dotun chimed in.
Blame it on an hangover. You just said something about a hangover that you don't even remember saying. Everything is just looking like
saying that, he should just accept and say he's playing a game. At the end of the day, this is not the only person that played this game. This is just the one person you people are choosing to gang up against. Everybody spoke about everybody at some point. Everybody had friends at the beginning that didn't end up being their friends at the end because something happened and you split. So I don't think that Adekunle is this demon that they're painting him out to be. Sheikh and Bella loved them. Even when they were in the house and everybody was like, oh my god, we hate Sheikh and Bella. I personally didn't hate them. Even the whole rice pouring fight. I was one of the few people in this world who, in my house, when we were having the conversation, I was like, they didn't really mean to hit the plate and stuff like that. So I don't dislike those people. But I'm saying even those people in the house, they were not perfect. You get, they were troublemakers, and at some point they came off like Wahala people. So for them to now sit on their high horse now, Sheikh is giving advice like he's a beacon of reasoning. Nobody is really is that more reasonable than the other. Everybody played the game. Some people came with some sneaky stuff. Some people were putting on the show. Some people pretended from beginning to the end. And even if Adekunle was playing a game, many people were playing a game. So I get that you can call them out, but the rate at which they are calling out this man is beyond me. Because it's not the only one. The same thing with Chichi, when they were all coming at Chichi, that Chichi said that. Meanwhile, there are clips of you also saying things about this same person. So I don't know where this holier than thou attitude is coming from, but I really despise the choices of words. That he's a sorry excuse of a man. Come on, that's below the belt. And let's all try to stop doing below the belt. Come on now. And he didn't even argue back or insult you back, which I don't respect, but let's not insult the core of a person's being. Let's try our best. In view of growth, let's do better. Let's just try to do better, because in watching today's episode, I was really uncomfortable with the insults that Doyin rained on Adekunle. I felt like it was unwarranted. He did not insult you. I don't think he insulted you. He said things he talked about you, which I'm sure he talked about other people too. And even if you are mad at him, I feel like you can express it without hitting below the belt and really insulting his entire person. And then we move to a scene with Fina and Chomzi based on where they are now. Now, where they are, Chomzi has no problem with Fina because Mom Fina won. You get. So even if they want to have problem with Fina, Fina won. So I'm sure that even if Chomzi did not like the conversation, she would not want to say, Fina, I did not like what you say because, she won. Yeah. And another thing Ebuka mentioned that I have been saying since is, before the conversation got to Fina was having a blast. She was laughing. When they're insulting Chichi in the past episode, she was laughing. Then when they're dragging this person, you are laughing. Now it's your turn. They played your clip. Now you're like, I'm too big to answer. I don't understand. Keep the same energy. You cannot be cracking up when it's other people's storyline and then it's your storyline and you feel like you don't need to respond. This is it on today's episode, Jerry. I hope you enjoyed my review and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you and good night.